Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's NHS Project Futures Insight session. I'm Stephanie Smith of Health Education England, and I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us. I'll be talking with David WALTON, founder and managing director of Best Outcome, the organisation responsible for implementing the leading project portfolio management tool known as PM3 in over 50 organisations in the NHS. Good morning, David, and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me on the forum.
Great. Well, really pleased you're here and that you're able to join us and share the benefit of your expertise with everybody. Thank you. So let's get started. Can you describe some of the challenges facing the NHS today and how you can help?
Yes, so I think the NHS, as we all know, there's an enormous amount of change happening in the NHS. So whether it's COVID, whether it's digital transformation, whether it's migration to ICS new structures, there's an enormous amount of change. And all those change projects and programs, from small scale to large scale transformation, or maybe even SIP programs, they all have to be managed and controlled. That change needs to be delivered successfully. So how we help is we produce and we develop a tool, PM3, which is a project portfolio management tool. As you say, it manages projects, programs, and portfolios. It covers a full gamut of projects, from small projects, planning, requirements, benefits, all those aspects of a project management that you need to run and deliver change successfully. And that's how we help the NHS. Is we market our tool to outside the NHS, but the NHS is our biggest client, and we have an NHS Power Forum, and they help us with direction of the product, and they also help implement, direct us really in terms of what their requirements are going forward. So, for example, we have impact assessments in the tool, whether it's equality impact assessment or data protection impact assessment. We have a lot of work around benefits realisation. And lots of those functional areas of PM3 come directly from the NHS Power Forum that we have, and our clients who feed into us what the requirements are they need to deliver change successfully. So we're all about delivering change. And what we're providing is not just a tool, but a solution, really. So PM3 is a PPM solution, not just a tool. And it's been designed by practitioners for practitioners. So it's not a set of widgets that looks really nice and it's all great to look at that widget there. It's about real functionality that delivers real benefit to how you manage projects and programs successfully. That's really about that solution. And our consultants and our designers are all ex-project program managers who've spent their time delivering programs and projects successfully in lots of different organizations. And that knowledge, that intelligence has been fed into the product. And so with PM3, we're not asking the project manager to do anything over and above what they should be doing to manage a project successfully. And there's no bureaucracy. Data goes in once only, and reporting is automated as well. So what we're trying to do with PM3 is to take away some of the manual effort of the project management team and allow them to focus on delivering the outcomes of their programs and projects. So rather than worrying about writing highlight reports, that's all automated in PM3. They can concentrate on delivering their outcomes of their projects and programs successfully. And that's really what PM3 is all about.
Okay, that's really interesting. Thank you. Can you elaborate a bit on why you would call this a solution and not a tool, please?
Yeah, so it is a solution, not a tool. A tool is on its own is no good. If our mission is to help our clients deliver programs and projects successfully, that's our mission. To do that, a tool is just one part of a jigsaw, really. So you need processes, you need trained people, you need mentoring, guidance, and there's a whole wrapper around the product that you need to deliver programs and projects successfully. We're also seeing in the NHS and also elsewhere the rise of the accidental project manager, and it's really the commoditisation of project management, which I have a bit of a problem with. Really, it almost assumes that anybody can be a project manager. Anybody can be a project manager. They have the skills, they have the aptitude, and they can run a project. And I'm not sure this is actually correct. Now, what we will try and do with PM3 is help the accidental project managers, because this isn't going away. The accidental project manager, I think, is here to stay. But what we're trying to do is not just give a tool, but also give them guidance on how to use the product successfully, but also how to start, run, and close down projects. So as part of PM3, we have a learning management system which helps people use the tool better, but also understand the concepts of good project management. And that's project management training and experience is really what we're trying to do with PM3, is give that wrap around PM3. Tool works great. You've got project management. We also have in PM3 something called the PM3 Genie. So the PM3 Genie is there to guide you around the product. It's also there to give you guidance and advice on how to develop, for example, good project plans. When I do lots of project reviews, program reviews, one of the first things I look at is how good is the project plan. So the Genie looks at your project plan in PM3 and gives you guidance and advice on how to improve that. So what we're trying to do with PM3 is add some intelligence, some advice, and some guidance on how to use the product successfully. I like to use an analogy about playing golf. I'm a golfer, not a great golfer, but I play golf. It's quite a complicated game. Now I can get the best product set, if you like, the best irons, the best drivers in the world. But if I give that to somebody who's not actually been trained how to swing those clubs properly, then chances are they'll have a very, very poor golf round. I can have somebody else who's been coached and trained how to swing the club properly with maybe clubs that are 5 or 10 years old, not quite so good as the Rolls-Royce ones. And that person will have a far better round and be more successful about playing golf than the person who has had no training in coaching or mentoring. So the accidental project manager, I think, needs some advice, some guidance, some help to actually swing the clubs properly, to run the projects properly. And that's what we're trying to do with PM3, is give that wrapper, give that holistic solution about trying to help our clients deliver projects and programs successfully. And a tool is just one part of that jigsaw.
That's great. Thanks, David. Really clear. So just because times have obviously changed recently over the last 2 years, do you think remote working has changed the need for PPM tools?
I think it has. I think remote working is here to stay. Now, I know some people haven't been back to the office for 2 or 3 years. Other people are going back 2 or 3 days a week, 1 day a week. There's a whole range of hybrid working, but I think hybrid working is probably here to stay, I would say. And so if you've got a project team that is now geographically dispersed, they're not in the office, they're working from different locations, different homes and so forth, then our biggest competitor in the NHS is spreadsheets. If you're working at home with spreadsheets, running projects, and I have an issue with running projects on spreadsheets because it's a blank sheet of paper effectively. But if you're doing that at home and you're emailing around spreadsheets and PowerPoint and other documentation, it's very, very confusing. You lose version control, and quite a few of these spreadsheets really have errors in, and really you should be using a tool that's been designed for that purpose of running projects and programs, which is what PM3 is all about. And I think running projects on spreadsheets, unless it's a very, very simple project, I don't think is a very advisable thing to do. And that it is exacerbated when you work from home. So if you're working from home and everyone's logging onto a cloud-based system, integrated, it has version control, you know exactly what the data is, you've got one version of a truth, that's a really, really big benefit. And that benefit is more important if you're working from home remotely and everyone's working on different PCs, laptops, shared drives, local, all that sort of stuff. So if you're working remotely, PPM tool like PM3, everything in one place. Our mission is actually to try and kill some of these extraneous spreadsheet systems and SharePoint and PowerPoint and have everything in one place, one-stop shop to look at your programs and projects. So we've seen quite a big uptake in PM3, especially in the NHS over the last 18 months, because people realize that they need to be more efficient. And working at home, is it more efficient sometimes? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But if you're working collaboratively with a team and you've got to keep emailing files around or having shared directories, that's not as efficient, I would suggest, as having everything on one central integrated cloud-based platform. So I do think the challenge of working from home, remote working, means you actually need to invest in tools like PM3 to help you be more innovative and more efficient and work more productively, because you're working in a different environment than if you're working in an office with all your other team members around you and everyone's using the same local area network or whatever it may be. So I think, just to answer you back to your original question, Stephanie, I do think remote working is here to stay. And I think that means you need to look at the tools that you need to use remote working, and a PPM tool like PM3 is really important. The last point I'd make is when you're emailing files around the internet, then security is a big issue, and especially with these uncertain geopolitical times. then security is a big, big issue. So with PM3, everything is encrypted across the internet and also at rest. Whereas if you're emailing around spreadsheets, you've got version control and you also got lack of security as well. And so what you want to do is ensure your project and program data is being protected and is secure. So just to finalize the point, remote working, I think, leads itself to more cloud-based PPM solutions. I would say that, wouldn't I? But I think it does move yourself to that direction because of the issues and the extra problems you have working remotely.
Thank you. And I think from my understanding of PM3 as well, the system allows you to see who's been working recently on a particular plan, on a particular plan, which is really helpful to know. And if somebody else is in there, you can still access the programs at the same time. So more than one person can access the plan.
Yes, it's a true multi-user system, and a spreadsheet really is not a multi-user system. When someone opens it up, typically it's locked. So yes, you can look at PM3 and see, well, who's updated this page recently? Who's looked at this page recently? So it's very important when you are producing up-to-date information and reports to senior management, sponsors and so forth, that you're looking at the up-to-date information. And PM3 gives you that guidance and reporting that says these people have updated the system recently, it's up to date, and that's good information. Whereas with a spreadsheet, you're not really sure who's updated it when, and also quite often only one person can update it at any one time, which is, again, not a very efficient way of working.
Indeed. Okay, thank you. So what would you say are your challenges with implementing PM3 in the NHS, David?
I think if you look at the biggest problem about implementing any project, biggest risk area is lack of sponsorship. Many surveys always say lack of sponsorship, that's the biggest cause of project failure. And when you implement PM3, it's a project, it's a change project in its own right. So we look at the campaign need to change, we look at any change barriers when we implement PM3, but sponsorship is very, very important. And we look for change champions. So if that sponsor is not there, or that sponsor is very busy, and we know everyone in the NHS is very, very busy, but if that sponsor is too busy to give it real sponsorship and to walk the talk and have that carrot and stick of, I really want you to use PM3 because it's efficient, all data is in one place, all those good things we talked about just recently, they're the benefits. But you've got to re-sponsor and make sure people don't go back to old ways of working, old spreadsheets, PowerPoint, writing progress reports using different technologies like that. And the sponsor needs to promote the benefits of PM3, but also sometimes they say, well, if it's not in PM3, it's not a project. I'm not even looking at it because it's not in PM3, it's not being managed in PM3, and we've invested in this. So one of the challenges we have in the NHS is the sponsor that is too busy. And then the other big issue we have is the fact that sometimes there's a lot of change in the NHS sometimes, and sponsor moves and different teams come in, and sometimes people think, well, let's do something different. And rather than build on the investment that's happened with a previous team, then suddenly it goes back to spreadsheets again or a different system. And sometimes that can be quite frustrating because I know I would say this, but PM3 is a very, very good system. And what you really should be doing is trying to build on the previous investment that the previous sponsors and the previous team has invested in. And that change of personnel is one of the challenges we have implementing PM3 in the NHS.
Okay, right, thank you. So I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will want to hear more or to see PM3 in action. How would they do that?
Well, they can contact me. I think my contact details will be in the chat or in the follow-up information. There's also a flyer, I believe, attached to the talk here. I mean, please go to our website, look at the case studies, look at how we've tailored PM3 for the NHS, as I mentioned before. I'm very happy for you to talk to us so we can run a demonstration of how PM3 will manage your digital transformations, your SIPs, your impact assessments, whatever it may be. How can it make your work more, how can you make your work easier and less arduous, I suppose, is what we're trying to do, so you can focus on the outcomes. So contact us. Also, there are lots of reviews on PM3 on the web. You can see independent individual client reviews about PM3 are on the web. You can just type in PM3 review and you'll find those. And also, we'd be very happy to introduce you to some NHS clients that are using PM3 in anger, and you can talk to them about how they found using PM3, running their projects, programs and portfolio.
That sounds great. Thank you, David. Have you got time for another couple of questions? Or?
Yes, sure. Very happy to take more questions.
Brilliant. Okay, so so my next question would be, what would be your advice to our viewers on navigating what is already the crowded PPM market when they're selecting a PPM tool for the NHS?
It's a very good question. There are a lot of products out there, and they range from the one-man band, literally, to global enterprise, humongous products. And the first thing I think you need to look at is, rather than have the wish list of what we would be like and, you know, bouncing off satellite 3 times or whatever it may be, what do you really need from a PPM tool? So look at your maturity and see, and try and find a tool set that matches your maturity. So with PM3, for example, we can turn functionality off and make it simple, or we can make it complex. So you can run complex programs, we can run simple projects. You need to have a tool that matches your maturity. And sometimes we see in tenders, for example, people asking very, very complex functional requirement questions, and that may not be the best way forward. I think ease of use is one of the most important things you need to look at. And going back to an earlier point about security, in these uncertain times, security is very, very important. So you need to have an organization, a software organization, that has invested, like we have, in ISO 27001 security, cyber essentials, encryption at rest, all those good things, because that is very, very important in today's world, really. And so also look at, is the company you are looking to buy a software from financially stable? There's lots and lots of companies out there, some very, very small, and get that information is available on the web, and just make sure that you've got a company that is a reasonable size to give you support for the long term. So there's lots of reasons, really, but look at also who's got experience of working in the NHS. You might be talking to a company that does enterprise, huge PPM, but has no experience of working in the NHS. And I think having experience of working in the NHS is very, very important. So that's a little few tips about security, size of company, viability, working in the NHS, look at reviews, and of course, come and talk to us.
Brilliant. Okay, so that kind of covers the top tips for getting a PPM tool implemented successfully in the NHS, really, doesn't it? Yep, that's great. Thank you very much. Okay, so thanks so much for joining us today, David, and for giving us your expertise and knowledge in this area. Really appreciate it. And thanks also to those who joined us for this session externally. I'd like to let you know about a special working group, a PPM software working group set up by NHS Project Futures lead Liz Jones of Lincolnshire CCG. And this group is going to provide a place for an in-depth look at different PPM software to showcase how software is being used in different organisations, provide opportunities for organisations to learn more from each other, share best practice, and consider opportunities for organisations to work together to leverage relationships with suppliers. So if you're interested in joining this group, please get in touch with us using the email address that I'm going to put in the chat box now. Thank you again for watching, and thanks again to David for joining us, and best outcome, and please get in touch with him if you have any more questions about PM3. Thanks very much, and goodbye.